Hello and welcome to the 2024 Shenington Super Prix. Behind me, Senior X30 are heading out for the final heat of the day. However, starting off the 24 Shenington Super Prix, we've got a very, very special historic display. So I'm going to have a quick walk. I'm going to start by talking to this gentleman, Gary. Now, Gary, I spoke to you yesterday as we looked at some of the karts. We've got some 100cc direct drives behind us. Tell us a little bit about what's going to happen in this next hour, what people are going to be able to see out on track.
Yeah, so we're going to have, there's three groups, starting with the early stuff, you know, the one here, Graham plays a big part in Shenington Kart Club, likes this event because he gets to a bit of time on track, so it'll be good to see the very early stuff going out, and then through to the much later stuff from the 90s here, like the Jensen Button replica. You know, these will be going out in probably the second session.
Wonderful. Well, I'd love to stay and speak to you, Gary, but I spoke to you yesterday and you told me loads. So let's shine a light on some of the karts, some of the drivers. I'm going to go that way first because this is the first kart that sort of drew my attention when we started. I'm just going to interrupt your chat, gents. Hello. Yeah, hello. We are live. I didn't want to take you by too much surprise. They're going out. Tell me a little bit about your machine and yourself as well.
Well, it's a 1983 Birrell T12C with a TT27 Perilla with a Red Hill Racing 27mm slide carb. I ran the same slide car back in 1981 when I was racing 100 International.
So this isn't something that you've just thought, oh, I'm going to get into later on. I started
racing in 1978.
Oh, wonderful stuff, which for the record is 6 years before I was born.
Thank you.
No problem at all. The bald head, sometimes it's deceiving.
I'm getting there.
Yes, I've got the head of a 60-year-old, the body of a 15-year-old. It's not quite where we're at.
No.
So this your thing. When you go out there with the mix of cars, you know, and you're back in the machine, what's it feel like?
1978, all over.
All over again?
I raced from 78 to 91, got married, got into horses. Then I found the Historic Car Club in 2008, and I've been back doing this since 2008. I race as well with the Historic Race Series.
Fantastic.
Not in this, I race a 125 P&R gearbox kart. Well, I did.
Awesome.
I packed up in 2017 when my son, who was racing TKM, got quick, and now I'm a mechanic for him, and I just play in this and have some fun.
The day my kid got quick, I retired as well, so we're in the same boat. Wonderful. We'll just head left. Here we go. Whose is this wonderful machine? Ah, there we go. Well, I'll pop round. There we go. Wonderful. Tell me a little bit about your car and yourself.
The cart's a 1981 Zip. I bought it last year off of eBay and done a light restoration on it, engine and so, and I'm quite pleased with it. It's what you call a rat. You know, it won't win Conquerors, but it's absolutely, I'm on the circuit, running, and dead chuffed.
The one thing that I do like about it, and don't take this the wrong, is it looks used, which is the point of a kart for me.
Well, it's original paint.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's got the patina on all the chrome and things like that. And as I say, the brakes have been overhauled, all the moving parts, everything for safety has been obviously renewed and done, new bearings, but I've kept it the best I can. And it's like the floor tray. It's had an old-fashioned repair on it, so kept the repair on there and had, you know, the cleaning up and the paint's rubbed off. But no, very pleased with it.
And the one thing that you definitely still see these days is down here is the plate with the original chassis number on and all the details.
Where it has been painted, you can actually see the number quite well. It's how it is, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm really getting invested in all this kit. We saw some of it yesterday. So
one.
I have to get. Yeah, well, if I can find a spare weekend, I'm sure I will. I'm going to direct loop round that way. We'll come this way to this gentleman who. This was one of the karts I looked at yesterday with what I can only describe is a fairly comfy seat.
It is comfy, but you have to hold yourself in.
Yeah, nowadays you've got a bit of side on.
No
yeah,
side
exactly.
support. Yeah, it's an early kart.
Yeah, and obviously from the two that we've already seen, we're a bit narrower on wheels. What year is this? Tell me a little bit about the machine.
The engine's 1964, Comet K33, very rare, and the chassis 65.
Wonderful. And your background in racing?
Started in 1962.
Wonderful. Not with that, obviously.
No. Something worse than that. Something ancient.
Absolutely. Well, looks like everyone's going in that way, so I'll let you take your kart. Doesn't mean that this gentleman's not going to escape my chat, because he looked at me and then started pushing the kart as well. Twin engine, which we spoke about yesterday. Now we've still got twin engine karts in this country. This is a bit of a precursor. Tell me a little bit about it, and then also tell me a little bit about what's not a steering wheel.
It's a 1962 Skeeter. My dad owned the company and made them and raced them. We reckon he made about 20 or 30 of them at least. West Bend's engine, 580, imported from America. Only around a couple of years actually using them. And we've had it restored. Everything's original on it. And I'm racing in memory of my dad, who was around in the early 60s, 60 to 65. And we've got a guy here, Ken Summers, who actually raced here in 1961 and raced Skeeters.
Oh, wonderful. So
He's 90 years old.
Ken over there, we'll spin the camera around, give Ken a little bit of camera time. Fantastic. He'll not know about it until he watches it back later. He's having a chat.
Yeah.
We've got a little switch there. Is that your...
Electronic ignition on it, because the original points weren't giving a very good spark. So to be able to drive it on track, we put electronic ignition on it to give it a bit more punch.
Wonderful. So we've got full retro with a tiny bit of modern.
Tiny bit of modern.
Wonderful. Right, I'm going to let you go in there. I think I'm going to follow you because it looks like we've actually split what was going to be a combined 100cc session. We've split, so we'll pick the rest of them up in a few moments' time. We'll have a walk down here. Someone's got to do some running. Who's on running duty?
Okay, I think the lady's going to do the pushing for me today.
Absolutely. Well, why not? And then there's another session. So after that, you're going to let her have a go in the car?
I don't think so today. No, she needs a license and she doesn't quite have it yet. So.
Talk me through it. We've got quite a bulky brake disc back there, compared to some of the others that we've seen.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the machine.
So it's a 1987 Wright kart with a Perilla TT27 motor. The sort of motor and setup that Jensen Button started on. So yeah, really nice bit of kit. Totally restored by myself and enjoying the day.
But the one thing to note, the karts that we've looked at so far are sort of like mid to late 60s, and they were very open at the side.
Yes.
Now we've got modern karts with full side pods on. This is sort of like the halfway house, sort of getting into having some sort of side protection down there.
Absolutely, yeah. So just after this, they started putting fiberglass on them, and that sort of takes the grassroots side of karting away from it, really. But yeah, but it's great fun. It's a really good circuit, really good club, the historic club, well organised, and yeah, we just like a nice dry track and out and have some good fun.
Were you out yesterday afternoon when it was not quite a dry track?
Yeah, it was a little bit slippery. Obviously, you've got to be a little bit cautious. It did dry out come the end of the session, so we were able to get, nice sticky tyres at the end of the session, but yeah, really good fun. As I say, nice setup and well-organised event.
Wonderful, brilliant, thank you very much. Right, we're going to keep this going because we've still got karts out on the track. We'll head forwards. We've seen that gentleman, we just saw him stood up, now we're going to see him sat down. Right, I'm quite interested just in the fact that we've got a little bit of a triangle structure on there. It's a little bit different. Talk me through it.
Well, this is a Birrell drag. It's quite an unusual kart, very rare kart. And amongst collectors, this is the one that most people want to get hold of because it's so unusual. It's a very good quality kart, but actually they were not very successful at all. It's based on a Robardi, which was a kart built by Ronnie Peterson in the 1960s. And they won 3 world championships, and so everybody started copying them. This is Birrell's version. And it's basically, the front end of it is the same as a Robardi, but there's a lot of other differences. Some good, some really, really silly. The wheels are the most stupid thing. The wheels on here have got knockoff nuts on them. So it means that because they've got knockoff nuts, you can't get to the valves. So the valves are on the inside. So you want to check the tyre pressures, you've got to take the wheels off. You couldn't make it up, really.
No.
Doesn't make any sense. But that's what Birrell did.
And the big thing for me here is this offset sort of steering configuration.
Yeah, this is straight Robardi, and the idea of this is that the steering column is very horizontal. It means the steering wheel is vertical to you. So when you're driving, you're using your wrists. You're not using your shoulders. So it's just a different way of driving. But they were the Robardis were incredibly successful. Giving Goldstein 2 of his world championships. But this, as I said, it's a copy. A lot of silly things on it, but it looks beautiful.
It does look fantastic.
You know.
It's immaculate as well. So
Yes.
I'm assuming you say self-built.
I've rebuilt the
Yeah,
cart.
restored, yeah.
I've restored the
Yeah.
cart, and it's but the frame was basically pretty good when I got it. They weren't very successful in their day. That means they're often in very good condition when you find one, you know, because they haven't really been thrashed. And this was the same. The frame was pretty reasonable. The chrome work was obviously all the chrome work needed doing, all the frame needed doing. A lot of work on it to get it into this state. But yeah,
But it's immaculate. So
Yes.
congratulations on that. I'm just going to speak to this fella over here because he looks a little bit out of place. 'Cause you look like you did you take this out yesterday or did you wangle a drive last night?
No, we had Ross Allen was going out in it yesterday just to make sure it's all going well. My dad's engine actually.
Which, when you say all going well, you mean he was a crash test dummy?
Well, yeah. I mean, the steering column actually fell out yesterday, so hopefully it will stay in all one bit today.
That was why a minute ago you were sat there going like that with it, yeah?
Yeah, I was making sure it stays in. I don't want to go to the corner and then
Good.
have a steering wheel.
Do you know a lot about it, or are you just pleased that you've got a drive in a historic?
Yeah, well, actually, the engine was my dad's. He raced it 30 years ago. It's a TT31 Pirelli engine, so it's fast. It's really, really quick. It's just obviously it's really old, so it's actually like 3 times my age.
It does also look like you're about to put your elbow through it on every right turn.
Yeah, I've got to be careful, and I also need to remember there's no gears on this one, so I've got to make sure I'm careful with it.
Fantastic. Well, have fun. I'm going to head down down towards the front. I want to have a quick look at various karts down here. This little wheel is fantastic. Big fan of that. There we go. I'm guessing that's for a bit of help for whoever's pushing you out.
Yeah, we'll give him a hand, save lifting a bit of weight. Just so you can just push it straight along and pulls out and boom, away it goes.
Absolutely, it's brilliant. We saw a modern version up there with a big handle on it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the one that I saw yesterday that's got a jockey wheel where when he pushes it out and it doesn't work, he just pulls it back on the jockey wheel. That's brilliant. I need to find that later on because it's a fantastic bit of kit. Tell me about yours.
A 1979 Zip Shadow GT, prepared by ourselves at DPRD. We do all kart restorations and engines, and yeah, it's a new one for this year. It's its second run.
Wonderful. Right, I'm going to have to wrap up. We'll probably come back to you later because you're going to get a couple of sessions because heading off track at the moment are our X30 seniors, which means in a few moments' time we'll be heading out on track. So I'm just going to wait for our drivers to get in the cart. We'll come and have a final chat down here. Are you ready now?
I'm 100% ready, always am.
So helmet was off up there, so now we're good to go. Clearly feeling confident because you brought it all the way down the front.
Yep. I like to get out first to get more laps that way.
Absolutely, and particularly some of the others that have got a push start there. You know, I imagine you're just straight out.
No, push start.
Oh, you're push start. Well, we'll say push start. You're not doing any of the hard work. No, they're doing the hard work. You got 2 of them on it as well.
We need to.
Oh, we need it.
Oh, need 2. All right, there we go. Right, fantastic. There we go. Well, we might just stay down here and watch the success of the pushers. We'll see. Right. So, as you can see, we were due to have one big combined session with all our 100cc direct drives. We've actually got too many of them, so we'll split them into 2 sessions. So we're going to send them out in 2 separate sessions, then we're going to have another session. So everyone's going to get 2 opportunities. We're going to have to head this way, Luke, because if we don't, we're going to get skittled by historic karts, which means my work is done for the time being. I'll be back with the next grid very shortly. We're going to head up to Bob in the commentary box.
Thank you very much, David. Yes, Steve Cowley has always been at the front for a long time. I've known him for about 40 odd years. But I've been asked to commentate on the historic karts. I'm more involved with gearbox and have been right from 1962. But a lot of the direct drive karts are really interesting. I'll try and explain how karting came about. And it was a coincidence almost. The Americans invented the go-kart like they invented jet skis and skateboards and all these sort of things, and the British and they came over and we saw them at and the American air bases in the first place. And believe it or not, at the karting legends in the bottom side of the historic kart clubs down there, they have Tony Keel, who was at the very first meeting that Sterling Moss won at Silverstone, and then they went to Lakenheath, and Graham Hill won the second race. And he was so impressed with karts that he invested in the company into Keel Karts. And Tony Keel, who was a very young lad at the time, is in the pits. And I would advise anybody in the pits who's interested in historic karts, because you don't have to be old people like us. You know, we've got youngsters who are taking karting on as an interest, simply to get into the sport. And there's plenty of kit out there to go and invest in. Just looking at the track now, who we got out there. So Steve Cowell's just gone past the window here, as normal, flat out, and on the pace. He's always on the pace. And he got involved in this club 20 odd years ago. So he's still at it. And we've got Graham Smith out here somewhere, I think. But Graham got involved in the sport sort of later on almost, but he's been involved in this club for 30 years, I suppose, by now. But it all started off, and it was a coincidence because after the Second World War, there was a guy in East Germany who developed two-strokes, and it was exactly the same time that the Americans, Buster Clark in America, came up with the concept of a kart, and the Italians invested in it, light industry, to build kart engines. So all three things came together in sort of 1959, 1960, and that's how the sport became available to everybody. And the history of the two-stroke engine went back to Walter Caden, who was involved in the Peenemünde V1 rocket project, and he developed the exhaust systems on the V1 rockets, or basically the pulse jet engines, and thought that concept must work for a two-stroke. And years later, his ideas were stolen by the Japanese government, and the guy defected from MZ Motorcycles to through the Berlin Wall at the weekend that the Berlin Wall went up. And so it was a very espionage-based business in Japan in those days. But that's how we got all these things came together, and that's how we got karting. But everyone who, and at the same time, the original Mini came out in 1959, and everybody thought, crikey, these are quick, because they were compared with a Ford Popular or whatever sit-up and beg cars. They felt really, really fast on the to drive. You were going 100 miles an hour when you were doing 50 in a Mini, and that's what it felt like. So when they got in a kart, the experience was even more exaggerated than in a Mini. So that's why they were so popular, and because basically anybody could build a kart, and lots and lots of people did, and loads of companies got involved in manufacturing karts. But that's going back. But if you go down into the paddock, you'll see some of the static displays, because there's lots of karts down in the static displays that are not on track, and you'll be intrigued by how the development went in the karts. But that's how it all started, and we've got to this stage now. But we got to the point where there was so much competition, but all the little guys were winning in the karts because of the aero drag up there. You've got very little horsepower in a kart, really. But so consequently, you have to be as small as possible to go quickly. Graham Smith, who we were talking to earlier on, he once raced a class called Whisper Karts, a gearbox class on long circuits, and he was at Cadwell Park. I think he's put it in his notes that he was at Cadwell Park and he had 2 seconds in the first 2 races. And I went over to him. I said, Graham, if you lower your seat 2 inches, you'll win the next race. And he did. And he said, I've forgotten about that till you reminded me. He said, but yes, that was exactly it. I was into aerodynamics because I'm a farmer's son. I got big shoulders, and I couldn't get past the little guys because they were much tinier than me. I was a farmer's son, so big shoulders, and I couldn't get past these guys. So I thought I've got to work on something. So I started working on seat layouts and aerodynamic bits and pieces on the kart, and eventually got it to be, respectably quick. But and then we went on to proper aerodynamics with ground effects. I think the first ever proper ground effect, was on my kart at Silverstone, Snetterton in 1977, because I couldn't get the balance right, and I took the wing off to stop the drag. So, because everyone ran wings to get the downforce, I took the wing off and put a diffuser underneath the kart. And it seemed the obvious thing to do, and it caught on, obviously, right across the motor racing. But, there's been loads of things developed in kart racing that have gone on into cars, and a lot of engineers have come out of kart racing and gone into motorsport. And, it's a good insight and a good education and a very good discipline to go and race. And obviously over the years they put side pods on and all the rest to stop wheels interlocking and turning karts over. But that's a brief history on how the sport started. And if you're interested, go down and talk to some of the. I don't think they'll mind me saying this, but talk to some of the old gits down the left-hand side of the field, just past the bouncy castle and further down. But I'd say some of the stories they've got. I mean, we've got motorcycle enthusiasts and all sorts in the race in the paddock down there in Karting Legends. There's a big black tent all the way down the left-hand side of the field. If you go and have a look in there, there's some beautiful restored machines from the late 80s, early 70s. Okay. I'll hand you over to David now in the pit lane ready for the next group of karts going out.
Right, we're back in the pit lane, but as you can see, they're on their way out onto track at the moment. We've got our second session of 100cc direct drives, which are being pushed out. The 7 is just a bit stationary, so we're going to make sure that all the karts go round them. We've still got a few up the back going out. And then we'll see our final session of the 3, and then we'll see them all again after that. So just having a quick walk up as these head out on track. That kart's going to get dragged back in. They're going to have another bite at the cherry at getting that one going. And then there's so they're heading back out onto track. So we'll see what's coming in, and then we'll chat to the first one, and then we'll go back up to Bob in a few moments' time. You're going to turn around into a camera. Tell me about your car.
It's a 125 TMK5 on an Anderson 1993 chassis, 6-speed gearbox.
And more importantly, polka dot steering wheel, which I was told yesterday are incredibly valuable.
They are incredibly valuable, yeah.
Someone told me yesterday, if you see one of them on a cart, quietly take it off and hide it.
Yeah, that was a shed find. Good. That was.
Looks as well like a very, very well turned out bit of kit. So, yours, name's on the side, so that's definitely yours. Someone's got to do some hard work. That'll be you. That's why we've got this round the wheel there. So, are you going to be the quickest out there?
Hopefully. I should be.
Absolutely. Oh, cracking bit of kit. Right, that's going back out. That's the final one. We are going to have to head back up to the commentary box, though, where Bob's going to tell us all about the karts that are on track right now.
Right, let me see. What have we got out here now? Yeah, we're still on the direct drive kart, so these are the simplest karts. They're nice and simple, except you have to lift them and push them to start. But they're still dramatically faster on circuit. I mean, the cornering speeds are awesome. They don't have any gear, so you don't waste time in a lap changing gear, because obviously that absorbs some time. And the 100cc direct drive kart can very often lap at the same speed as a full-on gearbox kart, because the gearbox karts are such a thing to handle. But and that's why I'm not racing out on the circuit this weekend, simply because I didn't want all the stress on. I've just had an operation, so I didn't want to go out and be shaken around too much. But I should be here again next year, all being well. but yeah, I'll see who I've got on the track at the minute. I can't quite pick the people up that I'm looking for. But yeah, TKMs. I've got Scott Allen out there somewhere. Yeah, the TKM class, the 100cc class, they were a British manufacturer and still are. They're obviously, you can buy a brand new TKM motor to this day, and a very popular class, a very simple, easy to get into class, and they're just up the road here. So you know, they are a local company that's done extremely well for a very long time. We have, I'm trying to pick up some of the numbers, it's slightly difficult. These are a lot of people that I don't know in the sport, but that's, yeah, I'm trying to look for a few numbers now. Number 70, Ryan McCubbin, he's on an Anderson TKM again, so just picked him out. Just going down the back of the circuit. Number 9 there, I'm trying to pick him out. David Miners, he's on a right kart. I think they interviewed him earlier on. But to say the sensation of driving a kart is difficult to describe. I mean, for even from a rolling start on the grid, the acceleration is amazing, even on the direct drive karts, and the cornering speeds and the braking, and it's a completely different technique than driving a car. In terms, the back end of the kart takes you around the corner, but it's physically quite hard work, because the steering has to lift the kart off the floor to create a differential effect on the back of the kart. So everyone says, oh crikey, these are really physical, my shoulders ache and it's this, that and the other, but you persevere with it, you get fit, and you go faster every time you go out. But you do have to get race fit. It isn't oh that's easy, you're just sitting there steering. No, there's a lot more to it than that. You actually lift the kart round the corner with your body position and even your head. You move your head and it alters the centre of gravity of the kart, so the kart handles different if you move your head around. You'll see some of the drivers at the bottom hairpin there, and they lean outwards at the corner, not inwards, because it lifts the inside rear wheel and it drives them around the tight hairpin, and then they lean the other way to get back onto the back straight up to the finish line. And it's quite a technique you have to learn. It's sort of opposite to your natural reaction, if you like. So it isn't an easy technique to develop, but when you get it, it makes a big difference to your lap times. Tyres, obviously, in this sport are as important as in Formula One, if you like, but there are classes that have sort of longer life tyres, so you're not throwing lots of tyres at it all weekend, and that makes it a lot more affordable. But yeah, down at Wilkins hairpin at the bottom there, but you have to be really brave to get into Wilkins, because it's virtually flat out into the corner, and then you've got to stop it and turn it and get the inertia of the back end, the polar moment, so it flips the back end round in the bottom corner. I'm just watching the dramatically different lines around here. Some people take the pits corner here, where you come out the pits, really wide, and others tuck in so they can carry more speed onto the straight on the left-hander after the pit exit. Quite intriguing how the sports developed and how the tracks developed. I came here first in 1966 to see the British Championships here, British Gearbox Championships in 1966. I think it was John Morrell. I think he won the British Championships 2 or 3 times, a very fast driver from London, and I eventually beat him at Silverstone. But it took a few years later to catch him up. But yeah, another really fast driver I saw here. The circuit was different then. It went down the back to the hairpin, but then it turned came straight across and up the paddock, and then into the left-hander to come past where the pit exit is now. So it was quite a different circuit and a very, very fast circuit in those days. You know, things have changed. Okay, I'll hand you over now to David in the paddock. He's having a word with one or two of the next drivers. Okay, thank you.
We are back down in the holding area. Supercarts are going out. I'm going to watch my leg, and I'm going to have a quick chat with this gentleman over here. I'm going to wait for them all to go out, mainly so I can hear my own voice and yours. You've just pushed out, which on first glance looks to be one of the oldest karts here. Tell me a little bit about it.
I can only tell you it's a 1962 Keel kart with a Barlotti 200 engine on it.
Well, what we'll do is I'm going to get the camera to come here, and we might just be able to catch it when it comes round, but it looks like the driver's seated position is very far forwards, which is something that you'll not see with the rest of them out there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was actually my granddad that built the kart back in '62. He started in '59, '60, and he actually started the company of Keel Karts. And the gentleman driving it is my stepdad, and that is actually Tony Keel.
So we're just going to catch it coming round here, the one with the number 100 on it. There it is, going round there. And let's say the driver very far forwards, it gives it a really unique feel.
It does, yeah. I've never driven that one, but yeah, he enjoys driving that more than the modern ones.
Well, it does look like he's having a bit of fun with it. So we're going to go back up to Bob, the font of all knowledge, in the commentary box.
Thank you, David. Yes, Tony Keel, he is really karting legends. And you go and talk to him, but he was at the first race that Sterling Moss won in a Keel kart, and that he's the guy to go and see. He knows everything about. He started before I did. I was 3 years later, so I started in 1962 at Darley Moor, which is now a motorcycle circuit, but we still run karts there. Just hang on, we've got a guy who's just fallen on outside here. Just tripped over his feet, I think. Yeah, I don't know if they'll stop. Yes, they've got yellow flags out, so we'll see how he goes. But yes, I say it's the gearbox karts started to introduce heavier drivers into the sport and bigger drivers. And like I said, they started to develop aerodynamics and all sorts of things after that, rather than the sit-up. We were talking about Tony's sitting position, Tony Keel's sitting position in the kart. Okay, David, I'll hand it back to you. I think we've got a little bit of an incident outside the gate there, so I'll hand it back to you.
So the session that has just gone out has been stopped for an incident on track, which means we're back down here in the paddock having a look at what I can only describe as a fantastic bit of kit. It's got your name on it, but you don't look kitted up like you're ready to go out, so it looks like you've delegated driving duties to somebody else.
My son Phil, who is a National 250 driver. I've got just a little old for driving around now. I took it out on practice on Friday, enjoyed myself immensely, but Phil, as you'll see when he's out on the track, is pretty quick.
I mean, it looks quick with nobody in it. It looks like a fantastic bit of kit. Talk me through it.
It is. It is 1989. You'll see on the side here, we carry Chris Stoney's name. Chris Stoney was one of the founders of Anderson CSK. The CSK is Chris Stoney Karting. He won the Silverstone O plate in this kart, and we believe it's the same kart that he won at Hockenheim and set the lap record at Cadwell the same year, which stood for a lot of years. So it is a very quick kart, and it needs my son Phil to take full advantage of it, really. Which he will do. I hope you'll see him going round. I'm more nervous here than I would be if I was about to get into it.
Because you're putting somebody else into it?
Because if I was here in my leathers and whatever, I'd be thinking, oh, ho-hum, what happens, what happens? But now I'm thinking, if it breaks down, it's my fault.
Yes, the responsibility of the mechanic is very underrated.
Absolutely right, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We're going to continue our walk up. Your bit of kit, sir?
Yes.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's 1982 Phoenix chassis with a TD3 on it.
Looks fast.
It should be when it's running right.
When it's running right, there's not a lot of confidence in that.
No, there's not. I've already done a piston, well, at least 2 pistons this weekend, just playing with it.
Well,
I'm hoping it runs right in the last session.
Well, hopefully so. Hopefully we get out there. I'm going to carry my walk on because we've got loads to look at. Next gentleman on the agenda.
Yeah, so Pete,
tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's a 1980 chassis, year 2000, one of the first water-cooled, what's become the modern TZ class.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nice to drive, you know, good performance, great fun. And yeah, I've done 50 years here, so yeah, the driving bit's it's just nice to come back.
Wonderful. You've been here all weekend. You had sessions yesterday as well. How did it handle in the wet yesterday?
No. I did the 2 dry ones on Friday, the nice one at lunchtime, and then I watched and cheered and gave them marks out of 10 for pirouettes and half spins.
Wonderful. That's the best way to do it. Fantastic. Brilliant. He knows what to do, and that is when it rains, leave it parked up. It's getting bigger though. Who built it? Driver and mechanic, lovely. Wonderful. They're just getting bigger. It's like they're just growing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As time goes on, they're getting bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Good. Tell me a little bit about it.
Rodax 256 on an Anderson Mirage chassis. Just been restored. It's about 1989, 1990.
Wonderful. And the further we've gone, the bigger the front brakes have got as well. So I'm guessing that you're lucky. Bit of power in that.
Yeah, there's a bit of power in it, yeah. Enough power for an old man.
Fantastic. Right. Making loads of noise. Which means I can't speak to him because he's just making too much noise. He's going to start that up as well. Let's see if I can grab a few words before he gets it going. Right. Tell me a bit about your kit before he starts it up.
Oh, I can't get it going.
Right, I'm going to leave them to it because it looks like they're trying to get that going. Ambulance is heading off track, so I'm just going to come all the way over here to have a quick chat with this man before we go back out on track. Tell me about your car. It looks like you had a bit of fun with it yesterday as well.
Yeah, so yesterday was a bit damp. Managed to just stuff it in the tyre wall, which is a bit embarrassing, but yeah, today just full dry track. This is KTM 250 single, and I'm wearing my dad's replica helmet today too. So this is exactly what it would have looked like in '94 at the Kart Grand Prix when he started 60th on the grid and won the race, and that's why it's got the GP plate. That's for the Grand Prix winner of '94.
Wonderful, right. I'm probably going to throw it back up to the commentary box because it's just got a little bit too noisy down here. So we're going to go back up to Bob. Everybody's starting their carts up. Track looks to be clear, and hopefully in a few moments the gate's going to be opened and we'll be back out on track here with the Historics at Shenington.
Okay, thank you, David. So thanks for that intro. Quite interesting. Number 89 kart you first spoke to. I was talking to Chris Stoney last weekend at T. Croix in Anglesey because his son was racing a Radical over there, and we had lunch together, and I raced against Chris at Cadwell Park, and he beat me by half a wheel. He was multi-times British champion in 125, 250 single and 250 twin class. Very, very fast driver, very... well, you know, absolute dyed-in-the-wool old-time karter, if you like. He's best end of 70 now, so but he's still keen, still trying for his son, still sending the kids out there the same as I do. I mean, we were there last weekend because my son was he's still racing cars now. He's 50, and still enjoys every weekend we go. So it keeps me interested in motorsport in general. But these things are quick. I think the 250 twins, there's John Hately there, number 2. That's only a 125, but it's remarkably quick. The Mark Allen car, Ross Allen was in just that won the kart Grand Prix, hence the GP plates on. We were involved in a lot of the development on that engine and pipes and all that sort of thing way back then. And again, Mark Allen is a legend in gearbox karting particularly. But yes, the whole sport, Don Thompson's kart there, you said he was having a few issues with it. I was the first one to turn the barrels the wrong way around and get ram air on the motors, and it made such a massive speed difference. But it was very, very, as Dan was saying, it was very difficult to set up. So we dropped the idea because of the time it took to set any engine up. Depending on your maximum speed, you had to set all the fuel systems up and so on. But these things, they'll go off the grid 0 to 62 seconds. We've had a kart tested here by Mark Allen, and it would do from 100 mile an hour to 0 up the straight in 2 seconds. That's how much grip these things have got with the wings and everything. Anyway, I'll hand it back to David now on the grid.
So another on-track incident means that you've got my ugly face once again. So we're going to have a quick chat to the second session of our 100cc direct drives and have a look at some more of the more modern karts. Now, someone we're not used to seeing in something quite so old. We're used to seeing in modern machinery, in Ginettas last year and now into single-seaters this year. Tell us a little bit about this kit though, because I saw you out in it yesterday and you looked like you were having a whale of a time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I haven't driven a kart for 3 years actually, so it's just a bit of fun this weekend, just coming with the Historic Kart Club guys. This is actually Chris Hodges' kart. It's nothing to do with me, but it's about a 1997 to 1999 kart, I think. It's a gold kart, Vortex engine, so yeah, just fantastic. So much quicker than anything I've driven before. Just getting back into it, to be honest. I'm a bit rusty on my karting skills, but just having a lot of fun. So
the thing to note yesterday is that you always know people when they get in a kart that's not their own. And you were driving that like it was your own, particularly when it was damp yesterday afternoon. Looks like it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I know this track really well. I was in the Daniel Ricciardo Series karting for 4 years before I went into cars, so I know the track really well. And I'm actually fitting the kart really well. The seat position, where the pedals are, it's just all perfect. So felt really at home. But as I say, just a little bit tricky trying to adapt to the brake pressure. A lot less needed in a go-kart that's needed in a GB4 car. So just trying to get back into it, but just having so much fun. So yeah, it's great.
Wonderful. That fella there, he's next in line for a chat because he's just yeah, I know you have, but now I need to talk about the protocols of live TV.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't see you there.
He's wearing bright orange. He's not exactly Arthur. You're wearing orange as well. Exactly. So yeah, you just come straight across there. That's fine. Have we spoke about this kart yet?
No, this is our other one. This is the
other one. Well, tell me about the other one.
Son's one, 1987 DAP Greyhound. Oh, again, restored by us. He normally races this one in pre-89. Yeah, all finished.
Important question now. Should we talk to him?
You can if you like.
Absolutely. Right. There we go. I'm going through your shot. I'm going to have a quick chat.
That'll be good.
Right. So we've heard about this. Tell me about your racing.
Well, I first started doing historic karting at this event 8 years ago in 2016. And yeah, I've been racing since 2018 in various historic karts. I've had successes with this one, a couple of heat wins, and been up the front all the time. And I say it's a 97, 87 DAP, but I mainly do the Formula A, the late 90s stuff with the bodywork and stuff like that. So that's where I've been mainly racing in.
Good stuff. Right, I'm going to move to these gentlemen now because it looks like we might be going back out on track. So we're not sure if we're going out, but we're definitely sure if I'm talking to you. Tell me about your car.
This is my lad's car. Oh, it looks like we're going out. Yeah,
I'll walk with you. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Let's go.
Yeah, so it's a Venom TKM. We run it in the Retro Kart series. It's our race car. It did Landau last weekend, but we're having some carb issues at the minute, so we're just trying to figure that out. But yeah, it looks like we're running again, so we'll give it another go.
Fantastic. Right. So you've been delegated the heavy end. Heavy end, always. Light end. Driver always gets the light end. That's the protocol of karting. It's exactly, again here, look, mechanic, heavy end, driver and helper, light end. standard protocol. Right, looks like we're having to go straight out, which means I'll have a chat with you. Doesn't look like the type of machinery you used to spanner in.
Not one bit. Not one bit. No, I'm more modern stuff. None of this old stuff.
Are you blagging this?
A little bit.
A little bit. Wonderful. Right, I don't think we're going to get a lot of time to speak to too many people because carts are getting put down and they're heading straight out onto track, which means we're going to see a little bit of pushing. We've already got the gate is open, we've already got carts out, so they're heading out on track, which means it's Bob's turn once again to tell us about these wonderful pieces of kit.
Thank you, David. You spoke to Alicia earlier on in your interviews there. She mentioned Chris Hodgett, who is the patron of the British Historic Kart Club. So he's the top man in the British Historics Club. But I came here when he was developing a direct drive Swift engine way back in mid-70s sometime, I think it was. And we came here and met Chris that long ago. So, we've been around too long, I think. But we keep coming back because it keeps us interested. But yeah, the whole sport it's a fascinating sport to get into, and I'll tell you now, if you get into it, you won't leave it, and you don't have to be old to do this. You can pick up a cart and start again, and you can start quite cheaply and come to historic demonstration days and race test days and anything you like. You just join the club and off you go. So it's you have to get a license and so on, but that's really the only complication. So it's an easy sport to get into, but it's a very difficult sport to get out of. Believe me, I'm 76 now and I've been doing this since I was 14, so can't drop it, I'm afraid. But yeah, it's passionate about the sport. Somebody there still having to push down the back straight. I think is he going? Yes. Birrell cart number 25. That number 25. That must be Mark Allen's. Must be Scott, I'm guessing, in number 25 on a Birrell cart. I mean, Mark's two sons. They race every class going, long circuit and short circuit. But I was saying earlier on that the 250 twins with all the downforce and all the rest and the massive brakes you pointed out, they are necessary. I'll tell you now. They'll stop from 100 miles an hour. Mark Allen actually did some tests here, and he got a 250 cart to stop from 100 miles an hour to 0 dead stop in 2 seconds flat, and that was on a data logger, so there was no cheating on that. It was all electronic counted, so it was just an amazing amount of performance. And we did some tests at Donington, and we if you can get a cart to hook up properly, you can do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, and we've done that. And it makes it very exciting to keep them straight and see where you're going. But anyway, I'll hand over to David now. He's on the grid again with some more drivers.
Back down in our holding area with a majestic cart in front of me. Tell me a little bit about it. Zip.
1983 Zip 928. 925 even. A short wheelbase gearbox.
Wonderful. I'm going to let you get your helmet on because the gate's already open. We're heading out there. Just going to turn it round. We've got nobody in that 87 yet, but as you can see, from an era where design was very open and everybody sort of had a different idea and a different concept of what was going to make them quick. Again, a lot of noise down here with carts going out, which means it's back up to our resident historic expert, Bob.
Hi there, you're just talking to Gordon Gray. I think the last time I saw Gordon Gray was probably might have been late 80s or very early 90s, racing long circuits. Mark Allen's just gone out on track in a hurry again, as usual. And and some of the 125s are dramatically quick around here. I mean, they're just awesomely quick. I mean, the KZ 125s will come off grid because they're geared for short circuit and geared to get off the line, they'll do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and that's just from a 125. But we've got sort of older kit and new kit out there as well. But yeah, the number 25. I'm pretty certain that's Mark Allen in his. I think that's a Dino 250 with a 256 Rotax on twin-cylinder tandem, ex-Grand Prix motorcycle engine actually. So it's got quite a bit of kick in it. Yeah, and but they're very physical to drive. It's my son who races F1000. I came here a few years ago to test my kart, and I had 4 goes in it, and I couldn't do any more. I was shot because I hadn't been in a kart for a few years. Number 1 there is a Dino 125 water cooled, the same as I've got. Not the Dino, but the 125 Rotax, and that's extremely quick. That number 1, the red one with a full body, extremely quick around here. I was watching him yesterday. Surprisingly quick. But yes, the whole sport is. I mean, my son, the F1000, he's been noted for how fast he can get off the line, and he could get the 250 off the line like with the wheels in the air, just ridiculously quick. But always a good start. Always made very good starts. His technique was good. But yes, number 1 there in the red-bodied 125. It's a Dino kart, which was made in Denmark, and it's got a 124 Rotax on a 6-speed gearbox, and that was rapid yesterday. I think that's Mark Allen following up behind. But yeah, in those days, early on in karting, there was any number of ideas. 31 there, Steve Rawson. That's about as modern a kart as we've got here, but that's coming up for 40 years old now. But it was, that was basically a long circuit kart for a tallish guy, but all the aero bits on there. We traded off top line speed. I think the fastest twin cylinder kart was measured at 168 miles an hour. I think that was at Hockenheim or somewhere like that in the 60s, but we traded off top line speed down to say about 150 miles an hour for downforce, because it traded off better for total lap times. But you see number 89 Chris Stoney just going past the paddock into the left-hander there, and the kart's jumping about and twitching because these things struggle for grip even with all the amount of rubber that's on the floor. But you can make horrendously fast starts because you've so much grip and so much downforce. Number 1, that number 1 there, I think that's another Dino with a tandem twin in. John Hately there, number 2. That's a 125, believe it or not, and that's a lower grade 125. It's what we call 125 P&R, which is a class that I started way back in the 1981 because it had become outdated for against the single cylinder Rotax. They were outpaced, so all these people had got karts that were now uncompetitive. So I put a race on. I called it 125 Piston and Reed, and it caught on. And they're still building piston and reed engines to this day. The modern engines on the KZs are piston and reed induction, which means piston or reed valve induction systems. And the old Suzuki there with the overhead pipes, that was an engine that came in the early 60s. It was allowed in against the single-cylinder 200cc Bultacos and Montesas, and the twin cylinders were allowed in, and there was a Bridgestone and the Suzuki engines. But I say this is in the era when the Japanese bike industry had pinched all the ideas from Walter Caden, who was the rocket man at Peenemünde. So it was a very intriguing time to get involved in racing. Of any sort of racing became, interesting. There you go, the little... it's a 200 twin cylinder with the pipes coming up and over the top. Yeah, Mark and his son there are having a bit of a dust up, going up to the hairpin at the top. Well, yeah, the whole sport is really intriguing and a very good place to start if you're interested in motorsport engineering. And if you're interested in some of the old characters, take a visit down the paddock and have a closer look at some of these machines. They are very, very clever and very, very fast. And that's why I say they have massive brakes on. They've got 6-pot and 4-pot brakes, so they've got like what we're looking at 14 pot brakes on the two axles, 14 pistons pressing the pads onto the discs, and vented discs and so on. There you go. There's Mark and his son, just gone past the pit window here. They give no quarter, either of them. And Ross is still racing, doing long circuits to this day. And they developed a double engine 250 twin with an engine either side the driver. Fortunately, Ross is very slim, so he can fit the whole package inside the width of the kart. But again, just another idea, because in the gearbox regulations, there's more engineering, what parameters, if you like, or boundaries. They're wider boundaries. So people come up with more intriguing things to find that extra 10th round a corner and half a tenth up the straight just by aero and stuff like that. I'm interested in aero. I mean, my son was at Le Mans last week to watch that, and the week before the week before we were at T-Croix, he was at Le Mans, and the week before that he was at the Isle of Man watching the TT. He's just and last weekend he was at Lords watching the cricket. We sport man, I'm afraid, can't get it out of the blood, but that's what's held my interest for 60 odd years now, so and I'm still here, still enthusiastic about it. And we just seen the end of the gearbox session. Okay,
Bob, thank you so much. I've been out there getting a close-up feel of these karts. You've been up here giving us the history and, from clubs to teams and everything else. So we've been treated with this historic display once again. We've seen it. I was watching it yesterday when I was setting the camera up from the far end. I just stopped setting the camera up and just kept watching them going around the final corner here at Shenington. It's just brilliant, just seeing the intricacy, the design differences. Everybody sort of had a different perception of what was quick back then.
Yeah, that's right. I say, you mentioned Chris Stoney down there, the first guy out on the gearbox kart. I was talking to him at a race meeting my son was racing at last weekend. Completely ridiculous, the kart on the front of the grid. But Chris was always very, very fast.
It's wonderful.
Very fast.
That kart didn't finish there. It was parked over there earlier on.
Issue, yeah, he got an issue.
Bringing it back round.
What the problem. I'll go and ask him. But I say all the karts are down there. If you're interested in engineering and diverse designs, go down to the old gits down the corner. They're not all old gits. We've got quite a lot of youngsters in the sport now, because these are vicious to drive when you get old.
Absolutely. Bob, thank you very much for taking the time to come and speak to us. We're going to close out the historic stream right now, but stick with us on the Alpha Live channel and head over to the Shenington Super Prix link. We'll be live there in around about 10 minutes' time for the commencement of the 2024 finals here at the Shenington Super Prix.
Thank you, David.